who's gonna read? Okay, now I am recording. Who can read number one? Anyone? No?
No. I feel like I got the translation wrong. It's so weird.
Well, I let y'all read it without actually translating it.
Okay, whatever. Then I'll read it.
All right. Well, for one thing, voices off, guys. We're in class mode now. As much as, like I said, I woke up this morning and I was like, I don't even know. Like I got my 8 hours, so I don't even know what it is. Carson, go ahead.
Boom, Isti, Pelham, Nimis, Malum, Yerafont, Seaweed Possum, X, Bellow, Ad, Possum, Dukeri, Adiway.
Good. Now, so it sounds like people aren't wanting to offer their translation for this. And it, like I said, there's a lot to this one, kind of. None of it's that hard. It's just that there's like a lot of it. And also, Isti. Remember, this Ista is the same. It's kind of like an evil twin of Illa. Does that make sense to everyone when I say that, or is anyone like, what are you talking about? Like, what does that mean? Anyone? Yeah, I heard a yeah, but it was vague. So, okay, so we have this pronoun where the stem is like ist, and then we have this pronoun where the stem is ill. They are both translated as that when they're singular and those when they're plural, and their endings are the same. It's just that they have this different stem, but they both start with I, so they kind of look similar, I think, and you technically can translate them exactly the same, whether it's going to be like that man or that Cicero or that Aeneas or those pencils, whatever it's going to be, you can translate it the same. It's just that ista sometimes is used to have like a more negative connotation about something, or sometimes it's translated as like that thing of yours. But don't even worry about that because it's not really that important. Where's my spray bottle? It's like, I feel like it's over here. Why would it be on my desk? Also, if you don't have this out on your desk, Laura, go get a copy. Whoever else doesn't have a copy on their desk for some reason, go get yet another copy off of the desk, please. You are taking notes. You are not just sitting in my class doing nothing. Does anybody want to share their translation? No? Okay, so doom is while. Remember, guys, we can use vocabulary refresher sheets in conjunction. I'm about to move a Laura with final warning. Or Maddie, either way. So you can be writing down words on your vocab refresher sheet. Anybody who didn't get one passed back to them on Monday should be filling one out to get an easy chunk of points by turning it in on Friday with 10 words added. Okay, so while, and then how do we translate isti? Does anybody at least want to translate isti for me? What's a way we can translate isti, Carson?
I think it's that, but it could also be.
Yeah, it could, because Carson's probably saying that illy annoyingly pops up as the dative singular for all genders, but also the nominative plural. And this is the first nounish kind of thing we're seeing in the sentence, though. Which one do you think it's going to be more likely, an indirect object or a subject?
I think it's going to be
A what?
those. Maybe.
Yeah, those men, right? It's a little more likely that it's our subject if it's like the first noun type word we're seeing. Pronouns are nouns. So yeah, it's probably more likely that it's those men, because it'd be weird if it was a dative as like the first thing we're seeing, like to that man or something. But yeah, that is kind of hard. But if it's nominative, then it's nominative plural and it's masculine. So those men, while those men, and then what case do y'all think Laura would be?
Accusative?
Yeah, probably accusative. Very good. So like, maybe if that was the first word we were saying, I would think it was nominative because it's neuter. But now that we already have a subject, I'm thinking, well, bellum is probably the direct object. Those men are probably like verbing war somehow. So let's kind of come back to it and look for our verb, which is where it's right there, right? It's gerebont, yeah? So
I have a question.
What's that?
Where do you get the word men from?
So, very good question. So I'm getting it from the fact that, like, if isti is nominative, which I'm going with, then it's nominative plural and it's masculine. So I'm adding men. That's why the genders for hic and illa and ista are important, because every once in a while they're kind of floating in a sentence by themselves without a noun next to them that agrees in case, number, and gender. And when that happens, we want to be able to add men, women, or maybe like thing or person if it's neuter. depending on what the gender is. So yeah, that's gonna happen. I'd say like a third of the time when you see hic or illa. I almost just called it hilla. You're gonna have to add like man, woman, men, or women yourself, and that's like kind of the harder thing to do this chapter. But other times, not in this sentence, but other times it'll just be like hic Cicero, which would be like this Cicero. But if it's just hic by itself, it can be this man, and you add man yourself. Macy? Yep. So gerevant means to like wage or carry out. Well, we already think our direct object means war, so we know that people wage war. What tense is gerevant, though? Anyone? Present, future, or imperfect? Anyone? John? No, that would be bunt, right? Like our bunt cake, B-U-N-T. This would be A-N-T, so it's like back in the day, past tense style. So it'd be while those men were waging or waged war is what I think. Yeah, there we go. So I meant to make this, yeah, I use this like light red to indicate past tense, like what part of the word or sentence is past tense. I know it's very close to my direct object color. See, and I need to do that too. All right, and then nimbus is this new adverb we have that can mean either too much, or excessively. It'll kind of like, it'll be one or the other depending on the sentence. Here, what do y'all think would work better? Like you're waging too war. What do y'all think? Too much, excessively? And what kind of war is it? Anyone? Huh? Is it just a war? Well, you guys, yeah, I can tell y'all are rusty.
It's an evil war.
Yeah, it is very good. I think even the people who like tried on their homework or didn't have much luck with these sentences or something. But please ask questions if you were like stumped. But know that some of it really is rustiness, and it's something we're unfortunately going to deal with until February. Because just as y'all get warmed up again for your midterm, we're going to go on a 2-week break. So anyway, but you'll be warmed up by February, and that'll last till hopefully past spring break, and then to May. While those men were waging war. Oh, see, this is awkward, actually. I made this yesterday. Now I'm looking at this. I think it's better, actually, to say, well, that sounds so awkward. How about we say too much, and then put evil just over here? I mean, we kind of have some options there. I feel like it is weird that nimbus is between bellum and malum, and I think that's what I was trying to acknowledge. But that just sounded funky. So let's go with this. So yeah, you're waging evil war, or too much evil war is the best way to do this. Sorry guys, y'all are my first class that I checked these sentences with, and I didn't tutor anybody on them yesterday. So even I'm having to make this as we go. So it's gonna change back to being bad again. But so that's the first part. They're waging too much evil war, and this just means too much. It's almost like multus in a way. Oh, Laura, can you move behind Aiden, please? And then so now we have he. He is obviously from hic haec hoc, so that's why on the next one I have hic haec hoc come up, and real quick I'm gonna take this and replace it because I don't like. But how do I translate he? Anyone? If we translated it isti, which is the same as illy, as those men, what would he be? Looking at the hic haec hoc chart. Person.
It would be the.
Yeah, and these what? Where are we? Are we seeing on the masculine side of the thing?
These men.
Yeah, these men. So he, which like kind of makes sense. It's the long I that we associate with nominative plural, second declension. So it is masculine. It's these men. So while those men were waging too much evil war, these men. What case do y'all think Kiwitatum is? Caitlin? Or whoever.
What was the question again?
What case is Kiwitatum after he, which is these men?
Accusative?
Yeah, it is good. I was asking you because just like bellum, the direct object is coming right after our new subject. So these men, something about the state, verb. Okay, here's our main verb, audebont. What does audeo mean, everyone? Raise your hand if you don't know what audeo means. Be honest, it's fine. I just want to know.
Audeo means to dare.
It means to dare, guys. So you need to know that. We saw it yesterday. So you don't have that much of an excuse if it was on a sentence here and we saw it yesterday. Sorry, I'm glad y'all were being honest. So I don't want to fuss at y'all. But audeo, it means to dare. and we get words like audacious from it, right? If you're very audacious, that means you're very bold, you're very daring. So you need to know that verb. We've had it for like a few chapters now. So, and what tense is this one as well? It is, anyone out loud? It's imperfect. It's past tense. So while those are waging too much evil war, these men were daring to quack, quack, quack. Lead, opposite of follow, lead the city
State to peace.
much better. The states X from
war
to peace. This is for two and peace. Wow. All right, and now I need to fix the first part again. Once again. Okay. We're waging war excessively evil. Why did I think that was okay when I made this at like 3:30 yesterday during essay? That sounds horrible. Too much. But yep, that's the way to do this one. Too much evil. Evil or bad, right? So Kiwi taught him it was easy for at least Caitlin to identify that that was our direct object, just like Bella was the direct object in the first part of the sentence. But then after that direct object, we have two little prepositional phrases. X is a preposition that takes a green ablative. Add is a preposition that takes a red accusative, actually. It's a dark red instead of our like red for direct objects. But remember, add is like to as in to a place, X is from. These are great words to get around Christmas time because those are the prepositions you see on a tag on a Christmas gift, right? To and from. Though this is, anyway, this is a different kind of to, honestly, but don't worry about it. Any questions on this one while I sip a coffee?
Yes.
And try not to get coffee on my mask. That would look weird. All right. Is Jimmy going to stay pixelated?
Wait, what?
I'm waiting for them to write it, and I'm wondering if Jimmy's pixelated on the next slide, too. All right. I'm going to go. All right. Does anybody want to read number 2? No. Carson, thank you.
Please, Ali, Julius, Novus, Mopa, Sapientiam, Fortuum, Quay, Trahemus. Good. Ex his al east duty east no peace. Multum sapientiam virtutum quae Trahemus. We have a bunch of those long I's at the beginning. Those long I's and then S's make me think of ablative or dative plural. I wonder if all 4 of those words go together. Does anybody want to share the translation? You guys are slightly off the hook for this week because of the Thanksgiving rustiness, but it's not going to fly next week. All right.
I can share my translation.
Awesome. Go ahead.
From these, we draw a lot of new wisdom and virtues.
Very good. Very good. So, yeah, awesome. I think the one mistake you made is kind of blending your direct object with objects of prepositions, but that's like super close. Very good. So I can tell Ella understands the basics of this sentence. Let's start with these first 5 words. What does X mean, Jake? You said what? I just talked about it. What does X mean, Natalie? Yeah, from, okay. And it takes an ablative. Just like most of our prepositions still at this point, it takes an ablative. We do now have like 4 prepositions that take accusatives. Propter, post, ante, and add. But slightly most, it's like 5 or 6 or 7, take ablative. So maybe all of these are ablatives and they go together. It's like a noun with a whole bunch of adjectives maybe. So from, and this is hekai from hekai ka. And it's either this or this, and I'm saying it's going to be this because X takes an ablative. Computer people, I'm just pointing at the chart on the slide, and I'm pointing to the ablative where it says he's. So we would translate he's as what, anyone? Out loud?
From these.
Yeah, from these, alias, from these. What does alias mean? We saw it a lot yesterday, y'all.
Study.
Well, we get study eventually, but alias, studies. Yes, from these other studies, guys, y'all need to be writing down vocab words that you don't know. Don't just sit there and stare blankly and be like, oh, I didn't know what X meant, even though you just said what X meant literally 2 minutes ago. I'm just going to sit here. No, like, do something about it, guys. Even if you're just writing it on the worksheet itself and you never look at it again, that's still better than just kind of like shrugging and saying like, well, maybe next week I'll learn that word. Like, no, like now is the time to learn these words. Just learn it. Just decide to like know these. Yes, yeah, anybody can go grab a refresher sheet. I don't know why. I was talking to Carson about on the white table, all those pages are like curling in on themselves, something about the heater maybe. So anyway, from these other, and not just studies, but know these. New studies. So yeah, amazingly, those all go together. It's kind of crazy. But I mean, they all have the same ending, right? So in a way, it's actually easy to tell they all go together. It's just surprising that it's like a 4-word noun phrase is what we call it. So from these other new studies, and then we run into multum sapientiam, and I'm assuming it's what case, Caitlin?
Accusative.
Yes. Okay, I better stop asking Caitlin about accusatives, or she'll always know I'm asking about accusatives. But yeah, it's like, didn't we hit a direct object, and we're like, uh-oh, we translated that whole prepositional phrase, but we still don't have a subject. We need like a subject and a verb for our direct object. So let's just kind of skip multum sapientiam, and how about virtue temque too, because that goes with sapientiam. Intrahamus is what person? Let's see, Maddie Dugan or Nathan. What person is Trahamus? First, second, or third person? OST must tis in. What? First or second? So yeah, it is first. So it does end in an S, but it's not just an S, Maddie. That's maybe why you said second. It's M-U-S. So the subject is what? I, you, it, we, all, or they. Yes, very good, right? So that's our subject. Okay, now we have a subject. So from these new studies, from these other new studies, we, this is kind of hard, but does anyone know what tense this is? It's actually not present. Traho trahara's third conjugation.
Which one?
Carson says future. What is Caleb says? Trahamus. Caleb says future. It is. The E makes it future. So we will draw. Now we're ready for a direct object, right? That's the subject of the verb right there. We will draw. We will draw much. Anyone? Wisdom. There's our verb endings for future tense third conjugation, by the way. Wisdom and virtue. Any questions on this one? This one's really not too bad. How are y'all feeling about Hick and Illa? I'm okay with light doodling in class, but I feel like your operation was a little involved for classroom doodling. I'm sure you're same with you. Always look over the paper to draw a snowflake, maybe.
Not snowflake, it's COVID with COVID.
Oh, COVID, or don't do that. Okay, you're gonna give us bad luck. All right, any questions? Does anybody have any pressing questions on Hick or Illa? Is anybody like, yo, I straight up don't understand Hick and Illa, and I guess this is the part in Latin class where I like stop understanding things. Anybody feeling that way? Be honest. Danny sort of is. Jake sort of is. Okay, that's so. So what? Well, okay. So remember, guys, I keep putting these charts up pretty much on every slide, whether Hick or Illa is showing up. Remember, any singular Hick, Hick form, is going to translate to this. And sometimes, like in this case, it's going with something, and like it's just going to be this something, whatever it is. In this case, it's studies. And then every once in a while, it shows up kind of by itself in a way. I hope you know what I mean by that. Like it doesn't have a noun next to it with same case, number, gender. And that's why the genders are kind of important to know. Don't worry too much about neuters. And all plural forms of Hick, Hick are going to be these. And actually, there's only a couple forms that are overlapped between the plural side and the singular side. Like, and I'm talking about these. I hate these forms. They're confusing. But those are pretty rare. So, like, if it's a singular Hick, and like, I know what part of the problem is. Y'all don't have a printout yet. So that was something I like promised while y'all were e-learning. And it's on Teams if you like are industrious enough to print it yourself. But yeah, I need to give y'all a printout for this. I have a really good sheet. I just haven't printed it yet. So how about I get that to you guys by either tomorrow or Friday for your quiz? I'll try to do that. It'll be like 100 copies, so that's fine. And that'll help a little bit, I think. It's almost like this, but it actually tells you like for each individual one, like this, parentheses man, this, parentheses woman, because it's feminine. And so I'll give that to you, and that'll hopefully make you feel a little more confident. But yeah, anyway, singular forms of Illa are this, that rather, and plural are those. And you'll get the hang of it, but please ask specific questions if they come up. I don't know if that helped at all for the people who bravely raised their hand, but I will. Yeah, Danny?
What does
The what? Oh, winket now? This is just, this is the verb winket, which looks like the name Vincent, obviously. That comes from our newish verb that means to conquer, winka, winkera. But it has the na at the end because it's a question, right? So remember to mentally kind of disregard that na. All right, so, but, okay. It's important. This is a question. And hopefully the biggest thing that we understand about questions is that you need to know the tense of the verb before anything else happens in terms of your translation of a question. So what is the tense of winket here with from winka, winkera, third conjugation? I'm not going to ask Carson right away, at least. Anyone? Kaylin? So I kind of want to see your hands to see who knows it. So Kaylin thinks she knows it. Natalie might know it. Macy might know it. Macy, what do you think? You don't want to just say it? Kaylin, what were you going to say? And what were you going to say? It is future, so it's a thing that's like not present, right? It's like it's not quite simple enough to just be present. Look at these endings. It takes a deep knowledge of like knowing your third conjugation verbs, which maybe I can make a guide soon because we only have like 7 or 8. We got all of them last chapter, and we might have added a couple this chapter. I'm not sure, maybe, but you just gotta like be able to say the dictionary entry in your head, I guess, like scribo, scribura, winko, winkura. Like when we're saying it like that, that's third versus salveo, salveri, where it's like this long E before the RE in the infinitive. But those third conjugation ones, this is how they get future tense, not go, bis, bit, bimus, bits, and con, which is how first and second conjugation verbs get their future tense. I know it's a lot, and this isn't going to say, I don't even know why they're here. What's that?
I can translate.
Yeah, what's your translation?
Will greed conquer this man's love for money?
Very close, and I love that you started it with like will and then your subject because that's exactly right. But greed actually isn't the subject. It's kind of confusing what greed is doing here. Right, we have this word for greedy, and it's like kind of turn into a noun in this sentence. You're super close. So, but it's not the subject. It's kind of hard to figure out what the subject is unless you know your dictionary entries really well. Laura, what do you think the subject might be? If it's not greed, it's not a var. It's not inside of our verb. Our verb is third person, so it just tells us that it'll have a nominative subject, but then we have to go find that singular nominative subject ourselves. Anyone? What's our subject? Soraya? It's actually amor here, yeah. So it's kind of in a weird spot for the subject, but like if you think about it, amor, amoris, this is a nominative. This is a singular nominative. So it's will from the future tense, love, conquer, because that's what the verb actually means, and now our direct object. What? Will, love, conquer, what could be our direct object? And anyway, wait, it's not just love, it's love. Anyone? What's Pecunii doing?
Love money.
Love
Or
money?
loves money.
What case is Pecunii? What case could it be, maybe? Carson?
It could be another nominative plural, or it could be genitive.
Yeah, I bet genitive is more likely because it would be weird to have an nominative plural right next to a nominative singular. So what do you think?
the love of money.
Yes, exactly. So will the love of money conquer, and all that's left is this, ilum avar. What? Not just greed, but no man. Avar is like we're gonna take it as greed, even though it's usually been greedy for us, the adjective. We're gonna like turn it into a noun, which is a little weird. But it's not just the greed; it's ilum greed. So it's this or that. Anyone? That. Yeah. Remember, so I don't know why I waited so long to click through these. But yeah, remember ill. If somebody has an illness, they're like far away from you. So you would say that person over there. So
Like COVID?
yeah, I guess so. So illa is that, and it's those if it's plural. But in this case, this is the singular, so that greed. This is kind of weird. I don't know if you've seen this too much, where we're like fully shifting an adjective to a noun. So that's kind of weird, because like you might be trained to think like it'd be conquer that greedy. Oh wait, and you know what? It could be. See, this is crazy. It could be actually more of an adjective. It could be not just that greed, but that greedy. Anyone? Yeah, so that's actually way better. So, whoopsie. Today's one of the days where I'm like learning as I go. Because like Ilum by itself would be that man, because we would need like something more than just that. You know, we could, I guess, have a sentence where it's like, will it conquer that? But we would probably add man if we look at Ilum and we're like, hey, well, you know, it's the masculine accusative, so we can add man. But anyway, that's a way to get of arm to work well for us. Okay. Any questions? Was this number 4? This is number 3. Okay. All right. We're making very good time. All right, guys. Who can read? Like, why does it start over? It starts in the most annoying place, this thing. Maybe. Probably not that much. We're not making that good a time. We can read number 4. We sometimes finish Jeopardy early. We can maybe squeeze an Among Us into Jeopardy tomorrow after. Yeah. If somebody reads number 4. Wow. Okay. In illo libro multa de hoc homina demonstrabit. Okay. What are these first 3 words? Those are easy. In illo libro. What's that? Anyone? Things on my bookshelf over there. Yeah, and it's in as in
these books.
not these books. It's just one book. In that book. It's that book. Because it's illo. What? Yeah. So guys, like, make sure you understand that. Like, it's just illo. It's a singular illa. It's this guy right here. That's pretty much all he could be. Actually, it just like there's no plural version that ends in just a long O, and so it's just going to be that. It's in that book. If it was in hic, or actually it'd be hoc libro, that would be in anyone in singular. In this book. So know the difference, guys. I kind of want to write that out now. In hoc, that's the ablative form of hic, hoc libro, would be in this book. And like while we're at it, let's just like do the plurals too. In his libris would be what? In these books. And then in illis libris would be, well, in what, Neelius? Very good. In those books. So I know the words this, these, those, and that definitely probably tend to blur together in your mind. But they are distinct words that have different kind of implications. And so, yeah, we have our hic version of the singular. We have running out of time. This meeting will end in 10 minutes, so the plural. And then we have in illis libris, the ablative plural version of this. So in that book, and then this sentence actually gets wicked hard. This is actually a really hard one. What's the subject, guys? I don't even know. What is it? Is there a subject? Yeah.
Is it?
So, yeah, multa would be, when I first looked at this, I was like, oh, maybe it's multa. But then, okay, what's the verb? It's like this, right? It's to show. What tense is demonstrate? It means to show or demonstrate, right? What tense is it, anybody? Tense, present, future, or imperfect. Kaylin? Yeah, this is one of our good old first or second conjugation future tense where it gets the bow, the bis, the bit, etc. So it's something about will show, but will much show something? Like, that would be weird if multa was a subject, right? So once again, do we have a subject? We actually don't. And that's what makes it so weird. Because third person, we talk about how like he, she, or it could be the subject for third person. But usually we don't have to resort to he, she, or it. We can just use a nominative noun that's in the sentence. In this case, we don't have a nominative noun. It looks like nothing's nominative. And we don't really know what multa is. Maybe, if anything, multa might be what? It could be a neuter plural. It could be a neuter plural accusative thing. Maybe it's a direct object. So what do y'all want to use, she or he?
He.
Okay, she, in that book, she will show what? What if multa is a direct object? She will show, yeah, much. Good. She will show much about hoc homina. Nathan? Yep. John?
What does day mean?
About. In this case, we think it's about because you show like something about something else. So it can be from otherwise. But about what? Hoc homina. Not just man, but hoc homina, huh? Not just the man, it's hoc homina. So is it this man or that man, anyone? It's this man. It's this. Let me click through and see what I did for the next slide. So I talk about how that's future, and then I just skip right to the whole thing. Because yeah, it kind of doesn't make sense until you just get into it. Yeah. So hoc homina. This man, guys. If it's a singular version of Hikai Kok, which this is, it's this. If it's a plural, it's these. Singular illa is that. Plural illa is those. Is those. That sounds weird.
Mr. Caralinello,
Yep.
on the homework, it didn't have a period for this one. I mean, it didn't have an exclamation mark. It had a period.
You mean a question mark?
No, it didn't have a question mark.
It had a period.
Yeah.
Oh, weird. Okay. Really? Y'all don't have a question mark on yours?
Yeah, they have a question.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, well that actually makes it a little easier, so that's good. Because otherwise, there's kind of like too much going on. Let me go through and fix it. Good. Thank you for telling me. Okay. All right. I gotta watch myself when I make these during student advisement. I think it's because the class is kind of loud. It's like the end of the day, and I'm just like, eyes aren't on the wheel. You know what I'm saying? Going to sleep at the wheel in that book. So we don't need will first. So this is kind of informative or instructive to see how it's different. When it's a question, your helping verb needs to go like before the subject, but that's not the case when it's not a question. So basically, I'm just taking this will and I'm moving it after the subject, and that is making it a declarative statement. All right. Any questions? Thank you for that, Ella. Everyone good on that now? So yeah, you gotta move will, guys. If you didn't move will. Oh, and well, we'll go back there at the end. But remember, I'm like picking one of these for your test or two of these for your test on Friday. So if you're just sitting there hanging out, it's not a good idea. You need to be asking questions. You need to be understanding these and taking notes so that when you go to study tomorrow and during assembly time on Friday, you actually have something to study instead of just the translation, because that's not enough, right? If I pick this one, I would maybe ask about the tense of demonstrabit. I would ask about the case of hoc or illo, which are both what? Anyone? Yeah, they're both ablative. Someone said it. Who was it? They're both ablative. And what's my clue? Well, kind of like these long vowels help me know that. And they both happen to be next to prepositions that take ablatives. So yeah, if I pick this one, I would say, what's the case of illo and hoc maybe? And you would need to say ablative. And I'd probably leave it there. I don't think I would ask about multa because that'd be kind of nasty. Multa is a little weird, right? It's like an adjective that's functioning as a direct object, which is already kind of weird. And it's our kind of extra weird plural accusative neuter ending. So all kinds of weirdness in multa. All right, this one's not bad at all. This one's a much more chilled out. Anybody want to read this one besides Carson? Sorry, Carson. Let's go ahead and have Aiden and Danny and Carson read it at the same time in 3, 2, 1, 0.
Unas weird vistas copias in Hong Kong.
Okay, maybe you just opened up a portal to a dimension in which we are going to go back to e-learning on Thursday, so hopefully that didn't happen. But who can read? No. Does anybody want to share the translation of this one? Because I feel like y'all would have been able to get a translation out of this. Carson, what did you get?
Then when there was teaching these Jews about this one.
Very good, except you took in as about. It's not day. And this is not teach. It is what? Lead. Yeah. But otherwise, you're right. So unis weir. What do y'all think unis? Well, what do y'all think this? What do y'all think this? What do you think the subject is, Grace?
Is it?
That's okay. Caden, what do you think the subject is?
Is it
Unis is an adjective, so maybe it's going with the subject. So it's, yeah, one man is the subject, right? Those first two words. So one man, and then how does Caitlin think the case of istos kopios might be?
I don't know. Accusative?
It's accusative, yeah. So the pattern today is, if I'm asking you about it, then it's accusative. So it's our subject running into our direct object. Happens all the time. We need a verb to go between them. The verb is at the end. It's dukebot, which is, what tense is dukebot, Danny? Is it present or future or perfect? Good. So it's past tense. So it's like one man was leading or led what? Istos kopios? Troops. Remember, kopios when it's plural is troops. And troops are something you tend to lead if you're in general or something. One man was leading, and not just troops, but istos troops. Prove to me that.
Those troops?
Huh?
Those troops?
Very good. Yes. Was that Caitlin or Ella?
Caitlin.
Okay, I thought so. So yeah, it's those troops. So hopefully someone other than Caitlin and Carson and a couple other people are kind of grasping Illa and Hip. But again, istos is the same as technically illos here, which is the accusative plural. That's almost beside the point. You might just need to be able to recognize that it's the plural of illa, and so that it's going to be those. It's not that, and it's definitely not this or these, because that's hekakak. Hekakak this and these, illa, 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 that and those. Maddie, what is hek in the singular? No. What is hek? Is it this or that?
This.
Yes, hek is this and these, and illa is what, John?
would be
Think of being far away from an ill person. You would refer to them not as,
that.
yes, that person over there that I'm staying far away from. So he was leading troops in Honk Terum. Oh, I know. Maybe I know why this happened. So remember, in, we usually just translate as in. Sometimes on, and it usually takes an adverb. But when it takes an accusative, which is what Honk Terum is, it's not going to be.
Catalanello,
What?
are you restarting the meeting?
Yeah, I will. Like, we'll just be wrapping this up, but I'll let y'all pop back in. But yeah, I will. Because that is just about to happen. So how do we translate in when it takes an accusative? Not in, but in. Carson.
Actually, I was gonna say there's a bunch of macrons.
Oh, well, sometimes I don't. Yeah, some macros I don't really care about. The macros that show up over long accusatives, I don't really care about those. The ones I care about are more like the ones that, I don't know, like for ablatives I care about them. For nominative plurals, for usually if it's the last vowel that has a macron, that's when I care. If it's a vowel like a long A